Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the analysis of YOLENO TV. I hope you're well from wherever you're watching this channel. Now, I know people are still asking themselves, Kwani, how did these people vote? All the 32 million votes. Now, let's look at some comments here that have come from people like Babu Owino, and then there is Guterres, Antonio Guterres, the UN Secretary General. Now, why do I want us to look at these two leaders? It's very important. There's a reaction that Babu has delivered, then there's a reaction that Antonio Guterres also delivered, and all of them seems to be having the same meaning. Because the bottom line here is, how did SAMIA SULUHU get all those votes?
Tume ilimtangaza mgombea aliyeshinda uchaguzi wa kiti cha rais kwa kupata idadi ya kura milioni 31.
Whereas we saw multiple demonstrations on the streets, whereas the key opposition leaders were in jail, put behind bars. So that means there was a lot of, boycott matters the election. In fact, for those of you who've been following the proceedings of this election, I saw a video when the president, SAMIA SULUHU, was actually voting. So that same day, if you look at the surrounding, you realize that the number of people who were turned up to vote was again very small. But of course, that's cannot justify the fact that we think that these votes were not the correct picture of the people who voted. But
of competition,
the ruling party and its government have described as an election, but a majority of Tanzanians do not see it as such. They see it as a performance staged to create an illusion of democratic process.
Let's look at the Tanzanian case. Key points to note here is that, one, INEC, which is the body mandated with the elections of Tanzania, delivered a bombshell that no one can go to court and nullify the election. That is one thing that you need to note. It means SAMIA SULUHU is already the president. Now, the people of Tanzania should think about how they are going to be with SAMIA SULUHU going forward. There is nothing like the case of Kenya, whereby if, let's say, for example, 2022, when Chebukati pronounced William Ruto the winner, and there was a lot of disgruntled among the Azimio people, and then they designed a petition, or other petitions, channeled the petitions to court, provided evidences, then gave the courts up almost 15 days. Is it 15 days? But gave the courts some time to listen to this petition. It means the president could not be sworn in until Martha Koome delivered a ruling on those petitions, and then the ruling was delivered, and then William Ruto was sworn in. Now in 2007, again the similar scenario, but again it was Maraga. Petition channel to court. Maraga, after closely looking at all the presented evidences, decided with his team that this election was nullified, and it was nullified. Now, the case of Tanzania is different. You cannot go to court. When the electoral body delivers a certificate to the winner, it's final. I mean, so this is just like back then in the days when you had Samuel Kivuitu. And Kivuitu would give us a position on his result, and that would be final. That's why you find that in 2007, Kibaki was sworn in at night, secretly. We just saw a video shared that Kibaki had already been sworn in, and that's when, skirmishes started, by the way. So let's get back to what Babu Owino is telling President SAMIA SULUHU. Now, because I've told you that in Tanzania, you cannot contest this vote, the results. The results as pronounced by INEC is final. There's nothing you can do. It's not like Kenya, any other democratic country. In Tanzania, that is final. So let's look at Babu Owino message. Okay, this is a statement. We must look across the continent and learn from examples of nations that took their democracy for granted, only to find themselves under the yoke of military dictatorship or authoritarian rule. This is not the Tanzania we know. Reports of post-election violence, deaths counted in the hundreds, curfews imposed on citizens, and internet blackouts. These are measures that have no place in the modern world. Leadership is not a birthright. No one is born to rule. It should never be treated as a matter of life and death. There is no honor in forcing oneself upon a people unwilling or unready to be jailed, to be led. This is just a brief statement from Babu Owino. Because if you look at the math, Babu Owino is arguing based on the results from INEC. And the commission revealed that SULUHU recorded 31.9 million votes, which is 97.66%. And then the closest competitor got 213,414 votes, which represents hardly a 1%. And you need to also note that the total registered voters were 37 million. So if SAMIA SULUHU got 32 million, only 5 million did not agree with her. Only 5 million. They either didn't agree with her or they didn't find time to vote. She got 32 million. Something that you need to note is that during this process, internet was not working. During this process, there was a lot of curfew. During this process, there was a lot of demonstrations. So how did the 32 million votes get arrived at? But that is a secret that INEC knows. But they have already given SAMIA SULUHU a certificate. So let's go to United Nations. There's something that Antonio Guterres delivered. And Antonio says, the United Nations stands ready to support efforts aimed at fostering dialogue, strengthening democratic governance, and promoting sustainable peace in Tanzania. So if you look at the statement, is a bit brief. It's all about, they are all talking about peace, they are all talking about democratic processes and the like. But let's look at the whole picture of these results. What do you have to say about them? Do you think these results reflect Tanzanians how they want things done? Or do you think these are manufactured results? I will not say that they are manufactured results because we don't know what happened. But INEC provided a result and INEC provided a certificate to the winner. And in this case, the president who is recognized by Tanzania is Mama Samia SULUHU. So we will be calling her the president of the Republic of Tanzania because she is the president of the Republic of Tanzania, despite the fact that there were protests. Now, but we are still going to look at these matters because, again, there's the issue of Tundu Lissu and release. On Monday, I think there's going to be a court case, but Tundu Lissu is supposed to face, I think still, the case has not been concluded, but again, results have already been announced, so issues of elections have already been finished. So the most important thing to note here is that Tanzania will never be the same again. And that has been voiced by so many people. So perhaps if you're watching this video and you've not subscribed, take 1 second and subscribe, like this video. Until you catch up again, stay safe and stay blessed.